What's up, Freccero fam? For today, we're gonna be flying first class. This is actually the first time I've ever flown first class. I have so many miles and points racked up through my American Airlines credit card that I was like, you know what? Might as well fly first class today. And for today, I'm curious and I wanna answer this question. Is flying first class actually worth it? So I just tried to get into the Admirals Lounge here in the airport, which is kind of like American Airlines Executive Lounge. Turns out, depending on the type of first class ticket you have, sometimes you can enter it, sometimes you can't. So in this case, for whatever reason, I guess my first class ticket, even though I'm flying first class, does not count towards the Admirals Lounge. So far, it's pretty much about the same exact experience as if I was flying economy. But anyway, time to do my classic tradition when flying. Let's get some Dunkin' Donuts. So I got lucky and there's no one sitting next to me. Just got to my Airbnb. I know the lighting's a little kind of weird right now, but I really wanted to film this video with all these thoughts in my head. Was or is flying first class worth it? I hate YouTubers that ramble on, so I'm gonna give you a short answer and then a long answer. Short answer, in my experience today, not really. If I have to be even more blunt, it was incredibly overrated. I would have much rather spent less money, or in this case, used less miles that I used for the flight and just use that on something else. First class was unbelievably overrated. However, I did a lot of research for this video, both beforehand and afterwards, and I really broke it down. I think there are 5 main factors to determine if first class is worth it or not. Because in my experience today, it was not worth it whatsoever. However, in some cases, it is completely worth it. Talking about my experience today, just to briefly recap it, and then I'll get into kind of the long answer of is first class worth it or not. Got to the gate, like I said, and I showed you in the video, the Admirals Lounge or the American Airlines Executive Lounge was not included with a first class ticket. When I looked at a lot of other airlines, for most of them, it was. My whole experience up until the point that I got on the plane was the exact same as economy. I have the American Airlines credit card, so like one check bag for free is automatically included. Priority boarding is automatically included with that credit card for free with a normal economy ticket. So everything leading up to getting on the plane, pretty much the same. Obviously, I got to board earlier, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. And as you saw from the footage as well, I did have more legroom. The seats were comfier. There was a cushion on the seatbelt, which to me was a little extra. But besides that, that was really it. Just a comfier seat and a little more legroom. There was one point where the flight attendant did bring around a basket of a bunch of different goodies or snacks, which were not included in economy, but I'd much rather just buy snacks at the airport or maybe even buy them beforehand, right, and just bring them on the plane. So overall, my experience, about the same as an economy seat. Now getting to the long answer though of is first class worth it, because my experience today is not indicative of all first class experiences. And like I said earlier, there are 5 different factors I kind of broke it down to when doing some research if first class is worth it or not. First is the time on the plane. My flight was only about a couple hours. So if you think about it, the difference between sitting economy and first class a couple hours is not that much, but if it's a longer flight, that's something to consider. Another thing is domestic versus international. Now, when I talked to a lot of my friends who fly all the time and they fly first class, they said to me, flying in America, in the States, not that big of a deal to fly first class. However, if you're doing an international flight, first class is 100% worth it. The third factor is the airline. Like I said, some airlines have better perks, whether it's before you even get on the plane or even on the plane compared to other ones. Like I said earlier, which is super unfortunate, when I tried to get in the Admirals Lounge, they said that some flights on first class domestically include the executive lounge, some don't. I'm like, what? So it's just kind of random? Like, kind of all over the place. However, I saw with other airlines, it's included with almost every first class ticket. So the experience of the airline can affect if first class is worth it or not. Now for these next two factors, these are things that you might not expect. The fourth one is actually the type of plane. So I travel a lot, as most of you know who've been following me. Sometimes I'm on a super small plane where I'm in, like, say, a super small airport or whatever. Other times I'm on a massive plane. And what I've noticed just walking through the aisle is that a first class seat on a small plane is almost the exact same experience as an economy seat on a massive plane. Depending on the type of plane that you have can actually determine the features of first class. How much seating do you have? How many little gadgets and gizmos do you get with that ticket? That is something to actually look up. For example, the airplane that I had when flying today was the Airbus 321. So that is something to consider, that for especially like a small plane, there's almost 2 seats. First class almost is gonna be, if anything, the same as an economy seat, like I said, in a bigger plane. And then lastly, number 5, this is a very unique one that a lot of people don't know as well, is actually what seat you pick. I had seat 1A. I thought it'd be funny if I'm like, hey, if I'm flying first class for the first time, why not have literally the first seat completely in the entire plane? However, different seats in first class, even though they're the same price, can actually have better features. And this is something you may have to do some research on. Every situation is very different. I actually saw in a video that another travel vlogger made, and they demonstrated how some of the seats in first class are actually bigger or better or whatever than some of the other ones. So as you can imagine, for me, sitting up front, I had to use that weird tray thing. However, if let's say I was sitting maybe a little bit further back in first class, maybe it would have been more enjoyable. But hey, I can't complain. I'm glad I did it just to experience it. And obviously I had that seat next to me completely empty, so that was great luck. But overall, summing it up, my experience when it comes to flying first class was not worth it. I think first class is incredibly overrated for my specific experience today. And that is why I'm gonna say in this video that not all first class tickets are created equal, and you should always do research ahead of time, like I said, with those 5 factors to determine, should I upgrade to first class or stay with economy?